Hey there, school psychologists. My name is Susie, or Suzanne, as I'm known as a school psychologist. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks. I don't know how many I'm going to give you here. I'm not going to count. I'm just going to start giving them off, and we'll see how it goes. I am the creator of the Counseling Fanny Pack of Fun store products. So if you've used any of my counseling games or curriculums, behavior sheets, data sheets, social emotional learning, or YouTube videos, thanks a bunch. These tips are for school psychologists who might be new or might be seasoned and just looking for some advice on how to get through, navigate the crazy school year. I know last year I had a pretty rocky, rough year, but with some of the systems and tips and things that I do every year, and some new ones I came up with for this school year, I'm hoping it'll be smoother sailing. I'll start with some of the things that I've added to my repertoire this year. Every year, I pre-create an assessment log. This is one from last year that I'll black out all the names so you don't see anybody. So in this assessment log, I like to use Google Sheets because that way I can share it with all of my specialists, including the school nurse, speech pathologist, sometimes the OT person. But I definitely like to live by my assessment log. And I'll start off at the beginning of the year. Today is August 27th, and so I just finished doing this. And I put in every student's name for the entire year. And one new thing I'm doing this year is I'm pre-scheduling all my tries. So I used to, get together with all of the teachers and let them have a little bit of a say on, what dates they wanted different triennials due. But I found that I ended up with like 30 in May because they didn't want to move them up a month or two. So this year, I spread them out. Some are moved up 2 or 3 months. And sometimes they might have students that they think they might want to exit or something. And those ones, I'll have those conversations and then move them up to November because you can't have triennials after their due date, but you can have them early. So this year, I just took the calendaring into my own hands. I have two schools again, and it's super challenging to say, like, I need all of my IEPs for this school on Tuesdays and Mondays, maybe, and the other school, let's have it Thursdays. Nobody wants tries on Fridays, right? And the second thing that I decided to do, kind of on the lines of calendaring this year, are I pre-scheduled a hold for SST meetings. So if you're in another state, or maybe they call it something else, it's called like student study team or student success team. In California, in Southern California, in my district, we call it SSTs. So it's where we get together and, if a parent wants an assessment or a teacher wants an assessment or has a concern, whether it's speech or academics or cognitive, we have to get together. And so I would find with having two schools that at the beginning of the year, all the teachers would schedule all of their annuals. And then as SSTs came up during the year, I would have to be scheduled on a day that I'm at a different school for coming over in the morning or the afternoon, or sometimes the morning, then going to my other school site and then coming back in the afternoon for an SST or like initial IEP. So by pre-holding every Tuesday for one school and then the other school, I'm pre-holding every Thursday. I'm kind of saying when we have these situations come up, there's already a date scheduled that I'm on your campus, and now I don't have to worry about, juggling back and forth and, driving, 10 minutes here, or if your schools are farther apart than mine. And so I'm hoping it's going to save my life a little bit and my mental health. One of the next tips, tricks that I have is a little bit more on the lines of like your computer setup. At both of my own schools, I like to have my own power cords. So this might seem like, oh, why would you have your own power cords? But I've definitely had the experiences over the years of forgetting my, power cord at one school and then having to go to the other school to get it. So, if you're somebody that also has more than one school, having your own power cord might help you out. Or like you take it home and, so I also have one at home. That way, if I'm working on my couch, I can plug in my computer and, it won't die. Another tip I have for you is to have an extra monitor. So hopefully your district can provide you with this, but I really love a second monitor because I like to look at scores and type straight on my computer. By trying to squeeze it all onto one screen, it really makes things challenging. And I did it for years, but then one time somebody left me an extra monitor and I was like, ah, you know, miracle. I was like, oh, this is what I should have been doing for the first 10 years of my career. Another tip I have for you is to pre-create a counseling schedule. So I know as psychologists, we're very concerned with our assessments, but we also have to provide those minutes of counseling. And in order to do that, I like to say, okay, these two students are on Monday, these two students are on Wednesday, and figure out between their speech schedules, their RSP schedules, PE, all of those other things, exactly when you can see the student every week or every other week or once a month, whatever it is that is indicated on their IEP. But by being consistent, the student will appreciate it. You'll never have trouble like forgetting to, see your student. And then once I make my master schedule, it's going to change during the year. So I also use either a Word doc or a Google Doc, just so it's fluid. I can type it, I can change things as new students come in and other students get exited from counseling services. And then I put all of those services into my cell phone calendar. So that way, if I'm doing an observation, or I have a busy day planned, I can look and say, oh, I'm seeing, this student and this student for today. I need to make sure to plan my day out so that I fit in those counseling sessions. And then one year I had like 15 counseling students. So I actually even ended up setting alarms. So that way, if I was in the middle of testing or doing an observation or just spacing out on my computer, typing a report, the alarm would help me so I wouldn't forget. I have a lot of systems here. I hope to say that you think I have good executive functioning skills because I use this, which is an assessment log. So maybe every 3 weeks, I update it. I'll put in the order of the students that I need to test, and there's a column for the IEP date. And then I have a column for the week that I'm going to assess the student or students. That way I more easily keep to my schedule. And if I fall a little bit behind, it's okay. But by keeping to the schedule and making it visible, pinning it on my wall, next to me, and you can just use like first names or initials, something if you're worried about confidentiality. I come into my office and I look and I say, okay, this is what I need to do today. I need to make sure that I, give out these rating scales to the teachers. I need to, do this processing test with the student. Another tip that I could have for you is just to get to know your other school psychologists, maybe start like a group email, keep it friendly. That way, if you do have a question or confused about something, you can feel more comfortable emailing them your question and, getting an answer, because you might feel like you are expected to know everything, but every year there's new things that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, I was supposed to fill this form out this way, or, oh, I wasn't, checking that box sometimes. So we don't know everything. It's okay. But having good relationships with the other psychologists so that you can ask questions and feel comfortable so that you're not doing things incorrectly, is a good idea. The next tip that I could have for you is just to form a really trusting relationship with your principal. Some principals are harder than others to crack, but by building trust, showing them that you're gonna go help a student with a crisis or behavior, letting them know oh, I'm gonna go over to my other campus for an hour. I have to meet with somebody. Just being very transparent about what you're doing and your schedule and getting to know them a little bit. I think that principal psychologist relationship is really important. And on the same lines, definitely get to know your gen ed teachers. For me, my schools are new this year to me, so it's going to take a few months, but just try your best to get to know the teachers, attend the staff meetings if you can, especially if it's relevant to you. If it's not relevant to your job title, sometimes I prioritize report writing during those staff development days. But try to be visible. Try to come out at recess and lunch, walk around, do your observations. On the lines of observations, another tip I could have for you is that outside observations, I use my microphone, speech to text app. Just find one that works for you. I wouldn't recommend anyone specifically. I have that Android phone. I have been seeing that people are using iPads for taking their notes. That way they can just like copy and paste more easily. I still use a paper notebook that I keep everything in, like SST notes, observations, and it's very confidential. It stays in my computer bag all school year, and then I pull it out and I have it for every meeting, so that way I can refer to it if I got a phone call or a meeting, because my brain cannot store everything. Like 20 things happen each day as a school psychologist, so I'm sure you know. And then my final tip on people to build good relationships with, I think, is the custodian. So this might seem kind of random maybe, but I've had really good relationships with custodians. I'm always very thankful and grateful. They help me with like all kinds of things. I even had an office one year that like leaked from the roof every time it rained, and that custodian, Mr. Robert, he helped me out a lot of times. If something was broken, the night person wasn't emptying the trash, the daytime custodian can really help you out. And all the schools I've been at, the custodians actually have relationships with the students. They help out at when the students are in the cafeteria. Sometimes my principals even like let them be in charge of dismissing students from the table if the table's clean. So I think a school that embraces their custodian is a good school, and that's why you should embrace them as well. And those are my tips. I don't know how many I gave you. Maybe I'll count at the end. Maybe not. I'm just trying to help. And if you need any counseling, games, or activities, data sheets, SEL, all those things that Counseling Fanny Pack of Fun can provide, just click on the link below and you can check out my store and also my website and my YouTube channel. I'll leave all those links below. Okay, have a good day, School Psychs.